Good morning, everyone, or good evening, everyone, depending on where you're watching from. Let me know where you're watching from, actually. So this is a new experiment that we're going to run, live coding with ChatGPT. And I was actually inspired by this by Simon Willison, who published a lot of content on LLMs recently. He's the author of Dataset, which is a really nice tool to interact with data in CSV and JSON format, and has done a lot of work in the data space. And if you look at his blog here, he publishes a lot of interesting things. So just yesterday, actually, he did a blog post on a command line tool that he built for using the OpenAI APIs from your command line. And so I tried this out, and actually, if you can see if this works, it's called LLM. You can just install it with pip. And we can, for instance, say LLM, what can we ask it today? How many states does the USA have? See? And that's a request. It doesn't have current data, so it doesn't know if DC has gotten statehood or Puerto Rico or so. But currently, the US has 50 states. Okay, cool. So that's a nice tool that Simon published. But what I really got inspired by is his blog post from a few days ago. I think this one. Was it this one? No, not this one, but this one here. This one. Basically, he wrote a blog post saying it made him try new and more ambitious projects because it's much faster to try out new things. So you don't spend like a day or two building a new tool or something, but you can basically, with the help of GPT-4, because it does all the research for you and gives you all the basics that you need to get started, it gets you quicker there. So it does like 80% of the research and boilerplate code for you, so you can focus on the things that are actually important for you. And so I thought, why not try this out? And what we want to do today is we want to write a Chrome extension, which I've not done before, that connects to Neo4j and also connects to OpenAI and gets text from a website. So the idea is you kind of select some text on the website. It sends it to OpenAI GPT-3. Unfortunately, I don't have GPT-4 access in the APIs yet. And extracts the entities, and then we turn these entities into data in our knowledge graph as such. So you can basically take bits and pieces of text that you found somewhere, you select it, you press a button or something, we'll figure that out, and it will extract the text and then send the data to Neo4j. So that's the plan. Hey, Tom from the Netherlands, and hey, Andrea from India. Nice to have you watching, and I hope I don't embarrass myself too much, but you can help me to not be embarrassed. So if you have tips or tricks or questions or other things that we should try, then let me know. Cool. So I have nothing here, and I have an empty VS Code here as well. I don't have GitHub Copilot currently running, so we do it all manually, and let's see how this goes. So here's our GPT-4 model. We can say hello. Hello. Today we want to code a Chrome extension together. What do I need to get started? Which files and setup? Okay, let's see. Oh, it's usually friendly, and let's see. We have a text editor. Check. Okay, we need a new folder. We got a folder. I called it GPT, and we have one file. It's called manifest.json. Let me just add a file, manifest.json here, and a content.js file. Okay. A new file, content.js. That's a lot of files. Let's just start with manifest and content, I think. So my Chrome extension version 1 with description, pop-up, permissions active tab, background JS. We don't have a background worker yet, I think. Matches all URLs, content.js, options page. We go into options later, so we'll keep this for later. I just want to start with the content to say hello world, basically. Okay. So let's copy this and delete. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong file. Copy this into the manifest. And this is my GPT knowledge graph extension and an extension to turn text into related entities and send them to Neo4j. So pop up, active tab, background. I actually don't know what happens if I don't have these files, if it actually works or not. But we have a content.js, right? So this is on my manifest. And okay, show me a content.js for a hello world. We need to go to Chrome extensions and enable developer mode. Okay, let's do this. So I have extensions open already. Developer mode is enabled. And then it says we need to do load unpacked for our folder. Okay. Okay. This uses document add event listener DOM content loaded. That looks pretty complicated as such, but we'll take it anyway. I'm just curious. Why didn't you use body on load? It's back in the days, that's what we used to use. I'm not sure. It's more commonly used. Okay. Okay, so it's triggered earlier. Cool. Content loaded it is. So this is our content.js here. And it just creates a div at a high set index and does an hello world. We could probably also done like just an alert or console out or something like that, console log. Yep, we don't need to talk about this again. And so it said load unpacked. And we can go to our folder, the JavaScript, Chrome, GPT, select. Couldn't load our background thingy. Okay, so we just, I would say for the time being, we just remove the background thing and add it back in later. And probably also the options page. I just want to have this content script right now. Okay, default pop-up. Let's see if it also completes what the default pop-up. And the icons, I don't have icons. So, is this good enough? First, I think this is plus. Okay, let's do a try. Okay, this is our GPT knowledge graph extension. So if you open another page and reload this, can you see the hello world? I can't see hello world. What did we do wrong here? You have content.js, all URLs, active tab. Do we need to enable it? It's enabled. Refresh. Okay, somewhere there should be in hello world. I can't see it right now, so let's look at the content.js. Create this div, add padding, position fixed, and add the hello world element. For some reason, I can't see this. Let's just try to do a console log instead. Console log. Okay, next attempt. Refresh. Command Shift I, console. And it complains about it didn't find a file. Browser polyfill. Content scripts, content.js. What did we do wrong here? Manifest version 3, Chrome extension action. Perhaps you have to have an active tab. We do have active tab as a permission, right? Content script, all URLs. Options page we don't have. Icons, background, worker. We could just ask it what I minimize the manifest JSON, but now it doesn't work. Check. Yeah. Only have a content. Just okay. It says it looks fine. So we have here our content.js. And it complains about, let's just comment this out for the time being. You refresh our extension. Failed to load source map. Is this our CFHD? Is this our extension? CFHD? No, it's some other extension. Okay, Wikipedia. Okay, disable, enable, reload. Okay, I think it starts interestingly. So permissions active tab, manifest version 3, all URLs. JS is content.js. And here's our content.js, DOM content loaded. Hey, Olivier. So that didn't work so well. Okay, you know what? We just start again and tell it manifest JSON, Chrome extensions. We look into that, and our console log hello world. So this is our content, but exactly. That's what I expected, but it doesn't, for whatever reason. Perhaps we should use a different page. Perhaps Wikipedia blocks something else. So let's see. What else can we use that loads quickly? Let's go just to Google. A lot of stuff, but it's also not loading here. And I think it's also too noisy. Okay, so I would say we just start over and tell it to give us an okay, let's start over. Can you give me a minimal manifest JSON and a minimal content.js that only logs hello world to the console. Perhaps you forgot something. Yeah, hey Lanka, I reloaded the files already a number of times. So I switched off and on our extension. I reloaded it also. It says here reloaded, but for whatever reason, it doesn't like that. Okay, so this looks much easier, right? So let's just copy and paste this over and then see. I just want to keep my text. But it kind of looks the same, right? Except for the active tab permission. Okay. And it doesn't even have the DOM content loaded. Okay, interesting. So we can just see if it just works if you do this. Okay, next attempt. Reload. Wikipedia. Reload. Hello world. Yay! Good. We got it. So question is, can it do also hello world with the content loaded event? So let's just reload and reload the page here. And so something must be wrong with this content loaded event, I think. DOM content loaded function. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to. Yes, we have our extension enabled because our other console log logs 1, 2. Yeah, we did all of this. Okay, it says we should go to a new page. Shift I, console. Reload our extension. Shift reload the page. Hello world 1 is coming, but the 2 is not coming. So something is wrong with the content security policy. Perhaps it's a CSP thing. Okay, let's go to what's a simple page that has nothing running that kind of spams our most of the web pages. That's crazy in spammer. Or we can go to GitHub. I think my page doesn't have anything. That's like from the 90s, and it doesn't have anything. So let's see, console. But it doesn't output the thing either. Couldn't load CFDB file not found. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I don't want to restart my browser. Okay, any other ideas from anyone? Okay, that's fine. Okay, we just change it to window onload. Right. So window it's our function now. So I just want to reload Wikipedia. Okay, there we are. So something is wrong with the event. Okay. So now we get both our hello worlds, which is really nice. The next thing I want to do is kind of this options page. GPT already talked about this options page, right? So can you generate an options page for me? Because I want to put in the credentials to connect to Neo4j. So my next step is I want to actually no. The next step should probably be we select some text and get the selected text, right? How do we get selected text from a web page in JS? Okay. Window get selection, that's easy enough. So we basically say, instead of outputting hello world 2, we just say const text equals window get selection, and then text. And then we can try this. But it shouldn't work with onload, right? So because we need to have a button or something like that. So we probably should want on mouse up. Okay, get selected text to string and on mouse up. Okay, then let's do this. And we want just string. Okay. Okay. I think we don't need. I think we can even add the mouse listener independently. Okay, so that means if we now reload our extension and select some text on mouse up, yay! Can you see that? Selected text, super, nice. So the next thing that we want to do is, I mean, we can make this nicer, of course, but for the time being, probably want to have a button, right? Can we add a small overlay area on top of the page with a button to trigger this and put. Okay, instead of console, always looking at the console, let's see if we can basically take this on top. So it puts an overlay on top with some transparency, so it doesn't hide all the content, it seems, and adds another div for the output, I think. Oh, pretty nice, with even border radius and a button. And it reuses the function. This is also really nice, right? So it remembers that it created this function before, which I should probably copy in here. So this is our function. And then we should here also use get selected text. It even adds the function again. Nice. So this is our code here. And I think we can do it even without the onload. So we created it, or actually it should call create overlay in onload, right? So because we don't want to have it adds this nice overlay, it creates our button, outputs the text, get selected text, and then on the button click, it gets the selected text and puts it onto the output. That looks quite nice. Right, we can get rid of our... Any comments from you JavaScript people on this code? For creating code from JavaScript, I think it looks good enough for what we need. And then we can remove the mouse listener here because we want to... Okay, let's reload our extension and reload page and get selected text. No text selected. Nice. So if you select some text, get selected text. Super. So what we want actually is the button on the left. So I actually want this as the output, this container. And a button somewhere on the left. So we call this here output. Or let's use output here. Container. Oh, sorry. We just use container. This anymore. And just say instead of adding the button to the container, we added to the overlay. It looks probably horrible because that's my code now, right? But okay, let's see what it looks like. Reload, refresh. Okay, this is our container, and we say want it to be like whatever 90%. That's something, and height. So reload. It's not pretty, but I think it should. So that means if I now select text here, and I see this here as well. Super. So now we can use this text and send it to OpenAI, or we can next go for Neo4j as such. So because I know more of Neo4j, I would like to do the Neo4j bit first, and then we go with the OpenAI bit. Okay, so what I want to do is I'll just quickly create an Aura instance if I still have instances left. Let's see. So you see it also loads here on this Aura page, which is kind of weird. So we want to see. Oh, I don't have any free instances left. Do I have anything that I can clean out? Tree of Life is for Monday. Perhaps the training one. Oh, sorry. The training one, you can clean out training. Yep. So new instance, empty, copy, download, end file. Oh, it's not an end file anymore. It was changed to a text file because many people didn't figure out that env is just a file they can open in the text editor. So, so this is our GPT knowledge graph. So what we need now is we could hard code the connection to Neo4j. But what I actually want is to have one of these options pages, right? So if I have other extensions, let's see, like ASCII Doctor Live Preview, it has this page here where I can select certain settings and stuff, right? And I want to have like a similar options page as well for our extension as well. So we need an options page to store URI, username, password for our Neo4j database. Oh no, not to store, but to. Yeah, it got recorded. You can watch the recording later if you want to. You can even watch it at 2x, so it's not so boring. Credentials and store them somewhere where the extension can access the fields. What do I need to add? Okay, let's see. I just hope we get don't use up the 25 GPT-4 things in 4 hours. Otherwise, we need to switch to GPT-3 and then see how we can continue. Okay, permission storage and options page, options HTML. Okay, I guess we can add this here, permission storage. Scripts, let's look right. Sorry, of course. So, and we get an options page with URI, username, password. It even used password type for password. That's nice. And the options JS. Okay, this options HTML page looks good to me. New file, options. It loads the options JS. So whatever is in the folder seems to be loaded automatically, right? So we have 3 input fields: URI, username, label, and again, DOM content loaded. Let's see if this works this time. Load options, and then save options, and then load options gets the stuff from Chrome storage. Okay, so not from Windows storage or something like that, but from a sync Chrome storage. Okay. And then we can Chrome storage get. Why? What's the advantage of using Chrome Storage Sync API? Okay, while it's explaining it to us, we can just copy the code into options.js. So let's see again. It adds the content listener for the HTML page, and hopefully this time this works. It does load options, and then it adds an event listener click to the button. Okay, so that's our button here. Save button, right? So load options does Chrome storage sync URI username password, and then gets these items, and items is an object. So we could also deconstruct it here if you wanted to, and sets the field values to those 3, right? So this could be probably nicer if it was deconstructed, but I think it's good enough for our needs here. And for saving the options, it gets the 3 values from the 3 fields and sets them into this storage object and says it saved the options. Cool. So that looks nice. And now it said in our actual code, we need Chrome storage sync.get to do something with this. Okay. Advantages over local storage in Chrome storage local, synchronization across devices. Yes, that's good. And browsers, data persistence across browser sessions. They are not cleared when user clear their browsing history cache. That's good for extensions. Data conflict resolution for multiple devices, right wins. And storage quota, 100K per extension. That's for settings. And number of items is limited, and rate. Okay. This requires an internet connection. If you don't want to have an internet connection, which you need to use for Neo4j and OpenAI APIs anyway, then it sounds good. Cool. Even got an explanation for that. So now we have our code here that gets our data. So this function for the get selected text we want to actually turn into a function analyze and analyze text. We just call it analyze text, right? And then we want to basically get the text. If text, then we want to like analyze text, and then basically send to Neo4j. So basically const entities is something entities, right? And then we do a function send to Neo4j, takes entities, and here we use the connection credentials, right? And what we want to do here, just to see if it works, is just log the URI, right? Not the password, but URI. Cool. Super. And also we want to do container and so we can replace this with analyze text, and need to get a container with, actually, is that just the ID for one? Check all that. So, and we just say document get element by ID output. And I hope this works. Right. Okay, let's see what happens. So that means if we load our extension now, reload our extension, it doesn't complain. Okay, that's a good sign, right? And in details, it has, is it site settings or extension options? Oh, nice. Our beautiful form here, as you can see. Thanks, Actual. It seems to be going well enough, right? So our beautiful form where we can put in username, password, and URI. I just copied this from our temporary downloaded. So this is our password. Instance ID, here's our URI. And Neo4j is our username. Save. So in console, we should now see that it says option saved, right? Nice. So we can close this options thing again here. It should now be in Chrome local storage. So if I look at application, is this here in? No, it's not local storage. Perhaps in shared storage, Chrome extensions. I don't see it here, but I'm also not sure if it's showing on the pages or not. Cannot set properties of null. I think I might have broken our content thingy. Container ID as output. That's what you get when I write code, right? So get element by ID, output in a text, select the text. But we didn't click the button yet, right? Because this. Okay, I could ask MDN, but I can also ask ChatGPT, how do I create an HTML and with an ID in JS? Set attribute. But we used container.id as output, right? Container ID equals output. Get element by ID output inner text. Okay, let's try this again. We just reload our extension. It has errors here as well. Errors. Oh, that's the previous error, I think. That's nice, actually, that Chrome keeps the errors from our extension here. Okay, this looks better now, I think. So, and if I now select text here, it should output our URI in the console, right? Yes, nice. So what we had in the settings, it pulled it into our console, into our extension. So we can now connect to Neo4j. So how do we connect to Neo4j? So you could ask ChatGPT. Should we? Probably, right? Otherwise, I think I know how we can do it. How can we use the Neo4j JavaScript driver in our extension using those credentials to query a database? So let's see if its content cutoff of 2021 is problematic or not. Okay, we need to install the driver, include it in our extension, and use it. So, okay, install the Neo4j driver, download it from GitHub. Cool, we can do that. Webmin. Oh, nice. It even figures out that we need the web version of the JavaScript driver, not the Node.js version. And we copy it to our extension folder, okay? And then we can add it as a content script. Okay. Nice. So let's do this in the background while it continues to explain. GitHub.com. Actually, we could just use the URL, right? Is this an URL? Yeah. Okay, so it's in libmin, or I think there's also an CDN thing here somewhere, webmin. So just open this, and I think 570 is the latest driver that came out, 570. And yep. And we just store this in our folder. Super, and we get our beautiful extension is also on top of this. So that's something that we still need to do. But I mean, now we can basically select text here and say get selected text, and then nice. Even works on GitHub. Oh, Lanka, we didn't have an HTML for the plugin. Oh, okay. That's interesting. But I thought it triggers on the load of the page, Lanka, not of the plugin itself. But it's a good point. We can test this out. So we have now our Neo4j web min, and we have to add this to the options manifest. So let's do that. So we have Neo4j jwebmin and our contages. And you see it uses here even the Chrome storage link as I told it, and it creates a promise for that and then returns the data. Okay, let's take this code and copy it into our content.js. So we already had this send to Neo4j, right? So if I just use this here and send to Neo4j, what does it do? So it's our query, our parameters. Oh, it's nice. Actually, it expects parameters here. That's nice. It gets all the data from the config options, and if it doesn't work, it complains that the credentials are not set. That's good. And then it says get the Neo4j driver, get the session, and then run a query with parameters. And when the result is there, then we just resolve result. And that's the promise that comes back here, right? So that means for this function to work, example usage is this. And then we can just use it like this. Okay. So that means our central Neo4j with our entities would do something. So we could, for instance, say, because our database is currently empty, we can just return the count of entities, return count star as count, and then still pass in limit, but doesn't make a big difference, right? So can put, then it runs query for Neo4j and then uses the promise that comes back here to deal with the data, right? So and instead of console log, actually I want to add it to the output. So similar to here, we basically say let's log it to the console, but I want to see see this as well. Okay. Nice. This looks pretty good. Any questions from anyone? So we get the configuration stuff. We connect to Neo4j with the driver. It even closes the driver in the session, which is nice. And then rejects if there's nothing and resolves if there's a result. It currently uses session run, so it doesn't use transaction functions, but for our needs, that's good enough here, right? So we don't want to run this against the cluster or anything. And I don't think we need retries right now. Okay. Let's see if it reloads. Yes. And when we go here, reload our page, it should. Oh, we haven't selected some text. Okay, select some text. This is our selected text, and it complains about require. The require call doesn't work. Do we actually? Because I see, right? So we don't need require here. We can just directly access Neo4j because it's loaded automatically as part of that, right? Okay, so then Neo4j is automatically available, so we don't need to do require Neo4j driver, but Neo4j is directly available. Okay, that was easy enough. Let's just reload our extension and go to Wikipedia, reload the page, select our thing, and then nice, we got a result summary from Neo4j. Cool. So, and it's records, and we can just access records of count or so, and then get the result back, right? So, so we can result records map. And then we say this is our record. And for each record, we get the keys. Or I think is there an to object or something like that? Let's see if it knows that. Is there a record per object in the JS driver? Yeah, it looks a little bit involved. I wonder if there's an easier way. Yep. So if it's not primitive data, so if it's not strings and points or so, so if it's not strings, then we you saw that it used the old driver manual, right? So that's definitely something that it needs to be updated on. Okay. It looks a little bit ugly. I mean, we can take it for now. I just basically want to turn the result into an object. Const. So we get regular JavaScript objects back. And then access. Reload the page. It's really nice that we don't have to pass in all the config every time and so on, so that this is stored. Okay. This is now our count object, right? So and it has this kind of weird integer type, but I think there's a configuration in the JavaScript driver. It doesn't. It still uses for each. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. How do I configure the JS driver to use JS numbers? The driver int. But there's a config setting in the driver that you can use. Yeah. Disable lossless integers to true driver. I think config goes here. Yep. Okay, cool. So let's reload the extension and then we should be good to go. Our page and query result now is our count 0. So we have no data in our database, right? So it accesses the database and now we can basically in our extension where we do the query here. Where is it? Here, our match return, we can basically get the result and can, because we know that this has a count, we can say result dot 0 from count. So this is what I basically wanted to do. And so we can access the results directly as such. Okay. And this is object, so we should probably do JSON stringify result. And it should hopefully do the right thing. Cool. So that means we could already send data to Neo4j, right? So should we just try this? What do you think? I don't know why Italy banned ChatGPT, or actually, I think what the government said in Italy is that it didn't do enough to protect user data as such, and that's why they banned it. But I think you can still use a VPN to access GPT, ChatGPT as such. Question: without penetration testing, how can an organization implement ChatGPT in an organization? So I think you probably wouldn't take outputs from GPT as literal values to basically drive processes or anything in the organization. So what you need to do is basically at your own guardrails. So for instance, you could use GPT input as the same way as you would use user-generated input or user-generated content, right? So you wouldn't trust it. You need to verify it. You can use it to enrich data, but then you basically need to add confidence levels as well, right? So it's, for instance, in GPT, you can tell it to also add confidence information on its outputs, but I think you just should treat it as user input, right? So as if your users generated some content or data, and then you need to basically verify if it does the right things or not. You can also use system messages to control output more and limit what it does as such. And from a security perspective, you're sending data to a third-party service. So I don't know if OpenAI has a clear like data protection thing. I doubt it. So I would just treat it as a playground and experiment, not really for production use, to be honest. Hope that was helpful. So how are we doing with time? We are 1 hour in. We have our extension running. We can access data that's selected. We can connect to Neo4j already. And let's try to send actually connected text to Neo4j, right? So instead of just returning the count here, what we want to do instead is we want to create a new node, a text node. With an ID which is a random UUID, and then set text.text is our text. So basically, we create a node, and then we just return properties of key, right? So this is what we do as right. So we create a new node for this with random UUID as an ID. So later we can figure out what we want to use as ID, and then we execute this statement, and we don't have count anymore, but we have data now here as such. Right? And our output now gets this appended, so it should have not just the text from here, but also the things that got sent to Neo4j and returned from Neo4j actually. Right? Cool. If you want to do multi-line, then you can use backticks, of course. And okay, parameters, I just empty this out, right? Because we currently, oh no, actually what we need is we now get our data here as what I call here entities. Right now it's just a text. So we can just call it text equals entities. And then where we call this in send to Neo4j, we pass in selected text. Or no, let's pass in entities, but entities is in our case. Or actually, we can say text is selected text or something like that, right? So we can actually use this. Or let's keep it as entities and use entities.text. Being entities. Right, so whatever we get selected should end up in Neo4j as a node. Okay, now it gets interesting because you're writing to our database. Okay, reload page. And then we just create an Wikipedia node here. Get selected text. And this is basically our UUID in Neo4j, and here's our text that we added. So we can actually open this database here. I just need to copy the password. And now let's see if our node made it into the database. We have a text node with Wikipedia is hosted by the Wikimedia Foundation. So we have our round trip. Really cool. So we went all the way from a Chrome extension, selecting text from a page, using the JavaScript driver in the browser to send this data into Neo4j. So I think half of our stuff is done, and we're just 1 hour in. I don't know how long it would have taken me to figure that all out by myself, but it's definitely a speed up because my JavaScript foo is really weak and my Chrome extension foo is non-existent, right? Neo4j, I'm better with Neo4j than all the front-end stuff, as you can tell, right? Anyway, so let's see. So now we have our node in Neo4j. It has no relationship, so it's a lonely node. So we want to turn towards entity extraction, right? And what we actually want to do is we want to use OpenAI to extract data. And so we use want to use the OpenAI models here. Unfortunately, I don't have GPT-4 access yet, so I'm on the wait list. But until then, we can probably use GPT-3 Turbo or something like that. Right. So if you look at Quick Start, there is probably some JavaScript code, generate.js. So we have a prompt, and we just they have a Git repository here, and there's a prompt that we can use, and then we basically use the OpenAI API to call this, right? And in generate.js, it uses probably the JavaScript API. Okay, it has a Python library and Node.js library. So I think because it's Node.js, I'm not sure if it has JavaScript browser. Perhaps you actually need to use it from the browser with. I'm not sure if the Open Node.js libraries work in. Okay, let's just ask it. Right? So I want to send this text to the OpenAI API to extract this. Let's see, entities and their relationships. What JS library do I need for this, and what would an example function look like? Okay, we use fetch. So it seems that it doesn't use any of the Node.js libraries. But in the browser, you can just use fetch, right? So we have our API key. So we add a field to our options page for our OpenAI API key, and then we can basically use that. So it does a request with bearer API key. We can probably use a more modern model than DaVinci 2, and then give it a prompt, max tokens, temperature. I'm not sure what n means, and then it just does the API. Can we use the chat completions API instead with ChatGPT? Sorry, with GPT 3.5 Turbo model. Okay, let's see. Because I think the cutoff is before the API was created. So we can check if the API actually usage is correct. And yeah, cutoff is 2021. So I'm not sure if it just makes stuff up or role user. Oh, it has even as a system message. That's actually nice, right? So we can basically tell it in the system message to generate the content in JSON, which is really nice. Okay, API. I think this is just made up, right? Because I think the API, was it in models here? Somewhere was the API demo. Where did I see an example prompts? Somewhere there was an quick start. Libraries, tutorials. Where did I see it? There was a nice GPT 3.5 models REST API. Yeah, chat completions. That's what I wanted. Okay, let's Google it. OpenAI docs REST chat API. Yeah, there was a curl example somewhere. Now I broke my REST example. That's too much. Not helpful. API reference. Is it here? Here, curl examples. Models, and here somewhere completions. Here's somewhere a nice example, I think. Right, this is in completions, API key, and this is the text. Right. So what I wanted to try is basically so this is chat completion is right. Yeah. Okay, what I just want to do, I want to paste this in here. You made up that API endpoint. Can you use these API docs instead? We just paste it in the whole text. And let's see if it now gets the right completion API. Post. Is it actually post request? Yeah, it's post request. Okay. GPT-3.5 turbo. Okay, roll system. And what's our request URL? Nice. That looks much better. Okay. So you can, if it doesn't know something, you can just paste in docs and it basically uses that. Right? Okay. So that's our OpenAI thing. I think we called it analyze text or something like that and content JSON. So we need our API key, of course, right? So we use our Chrome storage sync API key, and then API key. So, and then post request API key turbo. Here's our system message. So extract disambiguated entities and their semantic relationships. Minimal add text and turn them as nodes. Let me just turn this into and links, JSON object only, no explanations, just output no. Entities with ID. I think Tomashi said that it's not able to get the right Wikidata IDs, right? So that would be kind of cool if you say with Wikidata ID. And the minimal semantic relationships from the text and return them as nodes and links. It's an object. Cool. Does this sound good as a prompt? Actually, you know what? We let it actually make up the prompt for us, right? I think that's okay. I want the disambiguated entities and their relationships as JSON object. As JSON object response. Only create a prompt. Create a system prompt that dictates that dick. But, there's an object response with nodes and links. Arrays only. I don't want the whole function, just the prompt. You are a helpful assistant. Okay, please provide a JSON object for nodes. Okay, I think my prompt is better. Okay. With unique ID from name. Perhaps it can do something like lowercasing or something like that. So should we try this out actually and see how well this does? So we need a Wikipedia article. What Wikipedia article we want? Something with black hole, discovery or so. Nobel Prizes, discovery. Oh, Nobel Prize in chemistry. 23. History. Here, Nobel laureates. So what last year was some fun chemical compounds like Lego compounds or something like that, right? Was it this? Click chemistry. Okay, let's just take one example here. Oops. No, we reached the limit of GPT-4. That's unfortunate. And now it lost all our context. So the 25 messages are not enough for 2 hours. So okay. Actually, I wanted it to. I think we need to tell it that it should have a relationship type, right, as well. Okay. Source target type. Okay. Okay. I'm curious if this works. So, we also forgot to. I also need to add the OpenAI key, API key. So type password, API key, and we basically need to add API key and oops, key colon API key, and here we also also provide API key here. API key. It's also a password field. And this should give us this. And then we basically have to get the API key here. API key. And this is API key. And Chrome storage sync, I think, has done. So function. And it does the REST request, uses 3.5 Turbo, JSON object only, text, max tokens. So I'm not sure if you leave off max tokens and temperature, what happens, but we'll see that. And this is an async function. So, and then we basically should be able, when we click on the text, we basically call, what do you call it? Extract from so text. Const entities equals await. So, and I hope this works. I'm not 100% sure if the async function is correctly called from the button thing here. But let's see. And Sentinel4j could also be done an async function. Okay, and then save to Neo4j entities. For the time being, we probably just want to output them to see what comes back. Right? All with me here on this? Max token's a bit higher, right? So yes, Tomasz, I think you're right. So it has 4,096 tokens, so we can basically do, hopefully, this. Let's reload our extension and go to our beautiful Versa Wikipedia page. Here's the press release. Reload this. And then can select this and say, where did our button go actually? Hello world. So we got a 4-1. Oh, I know what he did. We forgot to add our API key to the settings. So this should be our API key, save. And then we try this again, reload. We need to fix our button somehow, right? So base shapeless, sharpless. Click on button. Still a 4-1. Type error, cannot read properties of undefined. Okay. Here's our text. Here's our API key. Model system text, max tokens, temperature, and here's the error. Let's see. We should probably look at the response that comes back. Okay. So I think we don't need the options anymore. Reload our extension. Reload our extension and reload the page. And okay, what do we get? Incorrect API key provided. We just create a new key, I think. Copy this, paste it into our extensions details. Paste, save. And reload. And reload. And see what it. Okay, invalid API key. Bearer authorization, bearer API key. So we have still the API reference here, right? Authorization, bearer, open API key. And application JSON. Post, content type, body, model, messages, role system, content, role user text, max tokens, temperature, authorization, bearer, API key, and we get our API key in options. We saved it as API key, and API key value, and it said options saved. Extensions, details, extension options. Console. So this was the key. Save. ID API key. Save. Get element by ID API key. And items API key, items API key. It kind of looks correct. Let's see what we did wrong here. Reload. Get some text. Undefined. So console, hello world, and API keys undefined. Chrome storage sync get. Okay, so I could imagine that it's because of the async thing that somehow it didn't like us here. But I can't imagine that this is the case, right? So this is our text. This is our function. Of course, it just calls this and gets the API key from Chrome storage sync. So if you go here and look at application and shared storage, I'm actually not sure where the storage sync is in here. Session storage, local storage, storage. Interest, trust tokens, web SQL. Good question. What should we ask it? Where can Chrome storage? Chrome developer tools. Storage and sync. Okay, extension needs to be there. Can someone see sync here? XDB, backward forwards, cache, fetch, trust tokens, interest scopes, shared storage. In XDB, session storage, local storage. Okay, let's go to the Wikipedia page again, which we talked before. And if we get selected text here, it says incorrect API key provided. So for whatever reason, our API key didn't make it in. So let's see if we can say load options and then options. So I made a mistake somewhere here and I can see it right now. Okay, let's continue. Extensions, reload, go to details, go to extension options, click on save, and it should give us all this stuff is here. Okay, that means somehow what I do here. In content.js, Chrome storage sync get doesn't like me. I think I know why, because this is API key, and then we just need to, because it's the same name as this one. Okay. So the problem is, as always, in front of the computer. Let's reload our extension and go to Wikipedia, reload this. And then, actually, I don't even know if you need to reload the page. Okay, 4,000. Okay, we requested too many tokens. Okay, so let's say we have 3,800 or something like that. Instead, let's see. Seems to do something. So message, content. So you see that content comes back here, right? So we need to get into let's see. How do I get the message as JS object or the entities? Oh, right. So we outputted the text here, right? But we wanted to actually have the data. I already did choices 0. Let me just see Wikipedia. So it has model, prompt tokens, completion tokens, choices 0, message. Because you have multiple choices, probably message and then content. Okay, that looked already correct, right? Choices 0, message, content. Trim. But trim doesn't make sense because it's a JSON. It's an, okay, then let's not call trim on that, right? Okay. So that means after our extract data and relationships comes back from here, then we should get our entities output here, right? Nice. Okay. Get selected text. So while it's doing this, we can just remove some of the log outputs, like API key, for instance. And so we can also remove this as well. So, so far nothing happened. No error. There's an undefined. Console log entities is, no, where's the undefined? Here. Okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong here? Async function, extract, return data choices, message content. So const entities entities. Oh, and we need to return what comes back from here, I think. That would probably help. So you see that my JavaScript foo is so weak that I don't even realize stuff like this. But nonetheless, I get a Chrome extension built. Right? Still get an undefined back here. So let's console.log data and entities. So I think what it did here was it wrapped it in a promise, right? But if it's an async function, it should actually hopefully work. I have no idea. So let's just try this, and if it doesn't work, then we just ask our friend ChatGPT what I did wrong. Just want to see, do we get the data back from? Yeah, so that's our data, right? And oh, this is JSON here, right? So sorry, this is still a string. But that should basically JSON parse should be able to deal with this, right? Okay. JSON. Parse. And then it still didn't return anything, right? So it doesn't. But I called await on the call there, right? So we have an await here, JSON parse. Yeah, I think the Chrome storage thingy is not an async function. That's why you needed to wrap it in an. It was a little bit something weird was happening there. Yeah. So we'll just ask our friend. He call fetch with promises instead. We think wait. Can wrap in a Chrome storage sync get call for the API key. Of logging the data, I want to return it to the function calling Chrome storage sync get. Exactly. So we have to wrap it in a promise again, right? And then we do a resolve of data. Okay, so let's do this. So we remove all the asyncs and awaits here and just wrap it into a promise instead. Chrome storage get, and that's our function API key, our data, and then we just use fetch with this instead. So this is our URL and first options. Then we get response JSON, and then pass this out, and then we just search. Also don't need to try here. And this is this. And we need another one. So this is our options here. Request options. We do our fetch. This is the Chrome storage getter, and here's our promise. Okay. Response JSON and then JSON parse choices. And here in our analyze, we do entities, and then basically entities, we log them out. Right. Okay, so this was again just me being stupid, which is good news. So let's see. Should probably turn this into a spinner while this is. Here's the result. It's not valid JSON. Okay. Seems that it also does. I forgot if there is a peak also in promises, but just so. Okay. So this is our links and nodes area, right? So we have source, target, type is our links. And here we have the nodes. Cool. Nice. So let's try this again on our press release page here from so should probably take a little bit longer. Okay, our content length is too large, so we probably need to split this into smaller pieces. I think Tomasz had something like this where he split it into. Okay. Seems to work, right? Links and notes. Cool. Yeah, good point, Tomasz. We want to do paragraphs usually, so we can break on \n, split on \n, and then. So, but before I split the paragraphs, let's just get this stuff into Neo4j, right? So, with our entities here, with now basically nodes and links as such, and we can basically run. We could run one query or two. For the sake of time, we can probably do it in one query. So unwind nodes as node. We use merge instead of create. So our node is a entity with the ID is node.id. And name and type, right? So then we have basically set n.name equals node.name and n.type equals n.type. But we can also call epoch create set label n comma type. So we also label it with this yield node. And then we say with do you want to do it like this, or let's just create the entity ID thing on the database? Create constraint for a entity assert a.id is and on require. No, how many option lines are there? Okay, now we have our show constraints. Okay, so we create our nodes, and then we basically just turn as nodes, and then we pass in the nodes here, and would say basically edit nodes. So it's your nodes. So, right, and then we basically do the same for relationships. So node query or node statement and parameters we can just inline here. and then relationship statement, links as link. So, and then instead of using merge, we find all start and end entity. And this is then link.source and link.target. And then we have the dynamic relationship types here in our data. Where is it? Press release. Source, target, type. Right. We can basically call epoch create relation. Epoch create relationship start. Was it source target? Yeah. Start link dot type. No properties and end yield rel rels, and then we just okay, and chips. Relationships added als nodes. So links, relationship statement, should we probably also use this? And we just inline made this again. And I hope I didn't do anything wrong here. Our link source, link target. So if it's not found, then it doesn't create any relationship. And I just need to see if I messed up the syntax for epoch relate relationship, but I don't think so. Yield rel and epoch creates that label. Right. Yield node set labels. Here, let's ask it what is the correct syntax for okay, I think there, I don't know if I added in that label, but I don't think I have this singular. So it makes it up, right? So be careful. But we could basically ask it, what would a cipher statement look like to add our nodes from the response? So let's see. We're almost there. So unwrite nodes as node, merge node, node on label, node ID. So as you can see, this doesn't really work because dynamic labels don't exist, but node ID works and node name. And node relationships also doesn't work because it's on as links, right? But that's something that you can probably do by pasting in the response object and then kind of working through it as such. Interestingly, that it sets a weight and uses dynamic rel types, which don't work as such. Okay, so we pass our data, we send our data to Neo4j, which we should also do, right? And then Um, so you should probably also do proper error handling here, right? So, but I think that's good. So we're almost out of time. Let's just reload this extension for last time. Take our page here. And so the only thing that we haven't gotten there is the what's called splitting by paragraphs. Sorry. So we don't see any outputs. Oh, here. Variable node. Or exactly, I wanted to fix that, but I forgot about it. As res. And then and rel yield rel. Okay. So we need to yield this. Unfortunately, we can't ignore it here. So let's do this again. I meant to do this, but I forgot about it. Okay. And final attempt. This is required. We should probably also test our statements before we do. Before we do the. So this is really too much try and error coding, as you can see, right? So that's not what we usually would do. But I wanted to see how far we can get just with this. So it takes some time, right? So it's not so fast. Okay, it added 10 nodes, no relationships. And if we look into our database now, it has a bunch of entities, but didn't. That's interesting. Here. For whatever reason, our entity didn't back. So it doesn't have a label. Why doesn't it have a label? That's really weird. Because it should have merged it on entity. So something went wrong here. I'm not sure. Merge on entity. And detach, delete, and this again. Okay. Let's see. This is really unexpected, right? It's because it shouldn't merge on the entity. And oh, because I used set labels instead of add labels. Stupid me. I wrote all this stuff and then, oops, and then I even don't remember. Oh man. Yeah, I just overwrote the labels. Bad Michael. Bad Michael. Let's try again. Clean out data. Okay, and then okay. Final attempt. Okay, it added 12 nodes and 9 relationships. Yay. So refresh. Entity. I'm not sure why I didn't add the labels, but anyway, I think it might have been node type, not ender type, of course. But anyway, we got our entities and their connections, and now we can basically expand all the nodes and find basically, yeah, functions. So you see, Barry received the Nobel Prize in chemistry for click chemistry, which is a reaction or a Wells reaction, and it avoids unwanted byproducts and molecules. Construct molecular constructions and functional molecules, and pharmaceutical research and chemists. This is interesting. It is chemistry here, right? So that's something that we probably should do for disambiguation, as Tomasz said before, natural molecules. So you can see basically just from selecting the text, sending into ChatGPT, and extracting entities. I think Tomasz had some ideas on disambiguation as well, and then giving it proper IDs. That would be nice. But you see that we can now go basically from we can go from text to graph pretty quickly, right? So we can pick any text and just build our custom knowledge graph out of it. And it complains because, why does it complain now? Completion tokens, prompt tokens, object, choices, message, notes, content. Somehow I don't know what happened here. Copy string contents. Off. Oh, that's only in the UI, right? And a terminated string. So it seems that it cut off the generation because I think the tokens, the 4,000 tokens, are both the input and the output tokens together. So we should probably reduce it to 2,000 or something like that, or really do the splitting as Tomasz said, right? So that we make sure that we get twice as many input and output tokens together. So we need to split it at around 2,000 tokens, which is like 1,000 words or so. No, it's not. It's even less, right? So perhaps really split by paragraph or by every 3 sentences or 5 sentences or something like that, and then reduce this to that. And that's it. I think I can turn this into a GitHub repository. Let me do this real quick. Git repository. No, I have my extension. Let me just quickly disable the extension. Disable GitHub. And we can do a new repository. New. In my, and we say, call it ChatGPT coding. Coding with ChatGPT 4. Big, and then we just add nothing because you already have the code locally, and then we just push an existing repository. Terminal at git branch main git add git add GPT. Should we rename this into GPT extension or something like that? Add GPT get GPT Chrome extension. So, and if you if you git commit my first Chrome extension with the help of ChatGPT 4. So, and now if you go to ChatGPT coding, you should see the code there that we wrote today. Right. So this was fun. Let me know if you liked it, and I'll add a README and so on, and then we can. I'll also link the recording. And if you have ideas what we can build next, let me know. I'll probably clean up the extension a little bit. I'm out the next 2 weeks, but perhaps in 3 weeks we can continue with the next session. Cool. Thank you all for watching and for staying on for 2 hours, which was really long. Perhaps next time we cap it to 90 minutes or something like that, because we also ran out of GPT-4 message tokens as well. Cool. Thank you all. Have a great Easter if you celebrate, or Passover. And otherwise, see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.